Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Drew Lock's back.
Dawson Knox is out.
Dawson Knox is out.
Yeah. Tre'Davious White, Matt Milano, Quinton Spain, and John Brown are all questionable
Gosh.
versus Chiefs.
Of course they are.
Ooh, Van Der Esch was
Where is he? Oh!
come off IR. Anyways,
Okay.
it says fully
Tors,
recovered.
could you do me a favour and just check that all the audio and stuff is working?
I mean, I can do that on my phone if you want.
Oh yes, and that's right, Sam could do it to us, don't we?
Oh, actually, he's good. Let's keep you for 3 years, $1.65 million deal. Seems alright. I don't have the salary cap.
You don't have to, yeah.
What's my cap penalty this year? Ooh, 21 million.
That's a lot.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't quite put it close enough, that's annoying. Oh well.
Okay, it doesn't say we're live.
Is it really taking that long?
It says it's a past broadcast.
Keep refreshing.
There we go, now it says we're live.
Oh, cool. How far behind is it?
It says it's a past broadcast.
Oh, okay, not too much. Okay.
We're that far, yeah, we're that far behind. Let's make sure we've got both our audios. Yeah, there we go, okay.
Sweet.
I just have that on my phone so I can see the chat, and then I have whatever up on my laptop.
Yeah, there's.
Well, we're live now, so
we're live.
welcome to the stream and the video, and yeah.
Welcome.
As it lined up being.
Welcome to the future people watching the start of this stream to frag on the play.
As you can tell, this is a very impromptu stream.
Yes, I was attempting to. I bought some streaming equipment to improve our stream quality, and I have not yet worked out how to get it to work. So we are just back to. Oh no, this is not
regular.
Good. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so we're just back to our regular stuff.
Yeah.
Great
I mean,
question.
I've got nothing better to do tonight, so.
we love playing games and chatting NFL, so we're happy to do it any night. Great question though. Is it worth picking up Bell in fantasy? Sam, let's start with you. What do you think the impact of Le'Veon Bell going to the Chiefs? That's the big news kind of this week.
It's going to be massive for the Chiefs, not necessarily for Bell or even Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Who is the current Chiefs running back?
Yes. I think it's going to be split.
Interesting, yeah.
So I think Edwards-Helaire will have slightly less production. I think Bell will have decent production. But I don't think he'll be number one running back.
Interesting, okay.
I think he's going to the Chiefs to be a third down back, pass catching guy who can give you your yards when Edwards-Helaire isn't on the field.
See, I was going to say it the other way around. I think Edwards-Helaire is potentially your gadget back who can he can essentially play any down and play out of the backfield as a receiving back.
Yeah.
So
but that's I think it's
yeah.
Yeah, continue, sorry.
No, sorry, I was just going to say, where does that leave Le'Veon Bell then? What's a gadget back? A gadget back is a...
Go on.
No, it's difficult to kind of pin a phrase on gadget back. I use the word gadget back in a sense of that he is... Oh, how do I explain it?
A lot of teams will have a gadget player. It's a player they do in a lot of...
who is useful in multiple scenarios.
Yeah. So you can set him out wide and he can be a receiver. He can be in the backfield. You can run the ball with him. You can give him screen passes. You can give him like wide receiver reverses or like running back throws. So it's stuff that's not in the usual playbook
Yeah.
That you want someone to be able to do so, you can have that as an option. So you get a lot of gadget plays in which there's a lot of motion before the snap, usually.
Yeah.
And so you want a guy who's able to line up wherever, or in as many places as possible, so that you can move him around and people still have to take into account that he's there.
Yeah. The best
because
example
he can
of potentially
be effective from there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. The best example of a gadget player is probably Taysom Hill.
Yes. He's not your prototypical gadget player, to be honest.
No,
but
most gadget players tend to be wide receivers or running backs because they're quick.
So, Cordaro Patterson.
Yeah, great example.
Deebo Samuel for the 49ers as well.
Yeah.
So Cordaro Patterson for the Bears plays running back as wide receiver. You can put him anywhere.
I was going to say for the Laviska Shenault for the Jaguars this season.
Yes,
sort of
I was going to say that, yeah. Yeah, he's lined up in the backfield, he's lined up in slot, he's lined up out wide, and you can... Yeah.
And so what I was saying with Edwards-Helaire is he has shown he can to be quite a good pass-catching running back.
Yes.
Which makes me wonder if Le'Veon Bell comes in as purely a running back and they kind of play them in tandem, but then Edwards-Helaire is very much more there for specialist scenarios.
Yes, well, I think if you look back into the Steelers' days of Le'Veon Bell, he was a really good pass-catching back.
Yeah, so actually they can just use both of them as all-rounders. They can.
So that's what I'm thinking, is you've got two weapons. You can put them both in the backfield. You can have motion. You can put them anywhere you want. And they'll still find ways to be effective and to drag players out of position and out of coverages.
Yeah.
Which will leave other people open. I think it's going to be really dangerous.
Yeah.
Because they have that with Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
But when he's not on the field, you don't have that. And they want that in every down.
Yeah.
And so it's a brilliant pickup for the Chiefs because he will be amazing.
Yeah.
I don't say amazing. I don't say amazing even in production terms. I say amazing as in how he plays, creating mismatches. Exactly.
It'd be interesting to see if he returns to any of his previous form, because I think there's a lot to be said about he's been at the Jets, and I've seen some great statistics of people who played at the Jets and then left the Jets and played better. You look at Kenyon Drake, going to the Cardinals, played better.
He was at the Dolphins.
Sorry, at the Dolphins when Adam Gase was there. Another... who was the other one? Devontae Parker's played a whole lot better at the Dolphins since... I mean, the Dolphins as a team have been a whole lot better since...
Yeah, exactly. It's just Adam Gase, to be honest. He needs to go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can't have him as a head coach.
No. So it will be interesting though. I don't think. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. I would want to know if he's back to form first, and I don't know how much time it'll take them to understand.
Yeah, I still think Edwards-Helaire will be the number one running back.
I think it would be.
But I think it'll be a more similar thing to Denver, where they have Melvin Gordon and they have Philip Lindsay, two all-pro backs.
Yeah. I think it would be silly to make Le'Veon Bell the kind of number one back, kind of uncontested number one back.
Yeah.
Because I think Edwards-Helaire is too talented to let that happen.
Yeah. And he's there for the future.
Yeah.
I think Edwards-Helaire is your back for good many years now. And Andy Reid will find a way to get both of them involved.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think Le'Veon Bell. I wouldn't go and get Le'Veon Bell. I think if you already have him, it's worth keeping him because I think his production will go up.
Yes.
And
definitely.
I think potentially Edwards-Helaire has a little. His production will be interesting because I think I have Edwards-Helaire on my fantasy team, and he hasn't actually been that productive anyway. And so I think I think having Le'Veon Bell will create some more mismatches and give him some opportunities as well as take away some opportunities. So
yes. Now here's the thing: Le'Veon Bell won't be available to play until the Jets game, so week 8.
Wow.
Because he has to go through COVID protocol for the NFL.
Right.
So basically, has to make sure he doesn't have coronavirus.
Yeah.
And self-isolates for a couple of weeks before he can actually play and practice with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, he won't be available for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Until it's kind of ironic, but until the Jets game.
Yeah, I know, it'll be great, won't it?
That'll be his first game in a Chiefs uniform. 2 weeks of being the only back worth caring about in Kansas City at the moment.
Yeah.
But it also brings up a question about next year. Damian Williams comes back
Yeah.
from being on the COVID list, or opt-out even.
Yeah.
I think they gave Bell a 1-year deal.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this is potentially a sort of a prove-it year for Bell. Because, like you say, Damian Williams coming back, and Bell, I think, is the oldest of the 3. So, not that age equals production, but that's what I mean, is that in terms of contract and longevity, if Damian Williams plays well in next year's training camp, then he could potentially, and we've seen how well Edwards-Helaire plays, he could potentially push for a roster spot.
Yeah.
And so Bell has to prove form. I think.
Yeah, he absolutely.
No. You had some other injuries you were going to talk about.
I did. Let me get it up. Yes, so a big one for the Broncos this week against Patriots. Melvin Gordon's going to be out.
Yeah.
Drew Lock's questionable. Noah Fant is out, I'm pretty sure as well.
Philip Lindsay is back?
Philip Lindsay is back off of... yes, he should be back. I can't find the... Here we go. I think it's this.
So they potentially have most of
Philip Lindsay is back. Hasn't played since week 1. Although Noah Fant has been ruled out.
Noah Fant's been ruled out?
Yes.
Okay.
And they have released Blake Bortles, which is a good thing.
Yeah, that's just a roster move. I think that's like
no, that is a roster move. Since Drew Lock's back on questionable rather than out.
Yeah, no, makes
also,
sense.
Yeah, it's Bills Chiefs this week, isn't it?
It is.
And this is going to help the predictions. Dawson Knox out officially.
Yeah.
The starting tight end for the Bills.
Yeah.
And questionable for the Bills. Top 5 corner in the league, Tre'Davious White. Linebacker Matt Milano. Guard Quinton Spain. Was an amazing receiver last year, John Brown.
Yeah.
He's out as well.
Out.
Oh, well, they're all questionable.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're all going to play or if some of them are and some of them aren't, but that's going to be a one to watch because it could be rough for the Bills. Although good news for Dallas fans, Leighton Vander Esch is off IR.
Ooh, that's a big deal.
Yep.
That they need that.
They absolutely need that. They need a boost, and I think that's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
He went on IR. He had a fractured collarbone in week 1.
Gosh.
And is back in week 6. That's quite impressive.
Yeah. That's really impressive. I'm glad because Dallas need a boost after last weekend, and this will be a good one. This will be a really good one.
And more injury news. Here we go. Colts have activated defensive tackle Sheldon Day from injury reserve.
Okay, that's I've heard his name, so that makes me feel like okay, I sort of know who he is. That might make a difference.
Right, let's injury report. Let's have a look.
I did. Oh, what?
Sorry,
Cam Newton's back. Cam Newton's back.
Yeah.
Off the COVID list.
Yeah. No, it won't affect the Colts too much getting Sheldon Day back because DeForest Buckner's still active.
Dalvin Cook is out. Alexander Mattison is a good fantasy pickup.
He is.
Yes. Thank you, VSH.
Yeah, he will absolutely play.
I know who you are, so thank you for commenting whilst sitting behind me, crocheting. I think it's impressive that you're commenting, but yet nobody is watching.
Oh, it says we have 2 viewers.
Oh,
that would be me and
Tori. Yeah.
Tori.
Ah, sorry. Mine says 0.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. That's weird.
Yeah. Right. Let's look at some.
No.
I don't know if there's not really been any big time injury news other than that. Brandon Williams has been placed on the reserve/COVID list. Bengals signed Khalil McKenzie to their active roster.
Ooh. Jaguars put Trey Herndon on their IR, which doesn't exactly help a very dwindling defense anyway, but...
Let me have a look. Jacksonville... it's not coming up here for me.
Okay. Where did I hear it? I can't remember where I heard it now.
For Jacksonville, Josh Allen is questionable. Dakota Allen is questionable. Raquan Armstead is on reserve. DJ Chark, Tyler Eifert, Avery Jones, questionable. You've got a lot of IR players here.
Yep.
Davina Zigbo, Josh Oliver, Josh Lambo, Leon Jacobs, DJ Hayden.
Yeah. DJ Hayden.
And then
that was it.
Okay. Yeah, corner. That's going to be a interesting.
Not helpful. Not helpful.
Whereas it's pretty much all good news for the Packers.
Well, I'm happy for your Packers. Ooh, I'm going to get sacked. No.
Yeah, if you think as Lane Taylor's on IR, but we don't really miss him. Zadarius Smith is questionable, as is Kevin King and Rashawn Gary.
Yeah.
And Tyler Irvin's out.
Yeah.
However, I don't think that's going to change much. We have what's his name now? Kenny Clark. We have Kenny Clark back, and we have Devontae Adams back.
It's amazing that you've been able to win games without them. Like...
Yeah. Robert Tonyan 3-touchdown performance against the Falcons was amazing.
It shows you that LaFleur knows how to change his team around and work with who he's got rather than...
Yeah. He, in my opinion, he is one of the best head coaches in the league, hands down.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like the way he's managed the Packers these last couple of years is just amazing.
Oh my goodness, no. No! No! Philip Rivers just did an option play.
Are there usually this many injuries early in the season?
And broke 2 tackles. Like, what? No, that just... Oh, Madden, why do you exist? Like...
Tori, that aren't... not that I can remember very well, but usually I don't think there are this many injuries. No. I think there's certainly less players on IR. There's always going to be players who are questionable and limited practice and all that, just because of the nature of the game. You're going to sprain a muscle at some point.
Yeah.
But I think the amount of big injuries has definitely increased.
Yeah. Some of them are normal, and by normal I mean happened throughout the season. So Dak's injury, that happened as a result of playing, and kind of that you hate to see those sorts of injuries. But there have been loads and loads of injuries of players doing things in practice and not being ready before the season and things, and I think that's probably as a result of not having the same level of practice and training and kind of quarantines and things and I say lockdowns. America's been different to the UK. But teams or players not having the same capability to practice and keep themselves fit.
I mean, for some players it's been amazing. Some players are absolutely thriving.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, absolutely thriving. They've been amazing, and they've used that time to just kind of focus and get better.
Yeah.
But I think the general consensus is not everyone's really been able to practice that much.
No.
Or as up to the same sort of standards.
Yeah.
Hence why lots of injuries, because they're just not fully fit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's also one of those things when you get lots of injuries in a certain specific area that you've got to think about the way they're practicing. Are they practicing as a group, or are they practicing as a whole? If they're practicing as a whole team or something, what's going on there? Is the whole cornerback group just or whatever not training well or not getting fit, or is it the way the coaches have set out practice, or is it just pure luck? Which I don't want to say it is, because it seems kind of odd.
It seems, like we tried to pick this apart before, and we didn't quite get it. It's odd, and it's happening, and the NFL is doing its best to cope with it. Teams are doing their best to cope with it. It's a season in which we have to be really understanding and sympathetic towards everyone, because it's such a unique situation.
I mean, it's a bit difficult, because you think some of these players, the injuries they'll brought it themselves because they won't have practiced, or they wouldn't have been fit. But a lot of them, like Dak's injury, and stuff like Devontae Adams, things like that are game time injuries. Or just random injuries in practice that you get, like Von Miller. I mean, I don't know whether that's. I don't know whether that was brutal for the Broncos.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's actually Von Miller not being fit, or whether that's just a practice injury that you get sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult to pick it apart without having any insider information.
Yeah. And sometimes we just don't need to know insider information. Sometimes it's just I don't know. Just got to deal with it, and I think that potentially is something about
keep on moving forwards.
Yeah. I do sympathise.
And that is the motto in the NFL: next man up.
Yeah. Yeah, and it can feel heartless at times, but also we can't control injuries. That's like.
Yeah.
You don't know when these things are going to happen, and yes, sometimes it can be frustrating, but
it's part of the NFL, and it's also a really interesting part of the NFL for me, because it shows what teams have depth in positions.
Yeah, and that is
and what teams have coaches that can scheme well for those injured positions to relieve some of the pressure.
Yeah.
I think that's what the Falcons have done poorly.
Yeah.
This year, what teams like the Packers have done amazingly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scheming to get other players open who aren't targeted as much, who don't get as many snaps, but still have the same production that you would with full starters.
Yeah.
I feel like I talk about the Packers too much when I'm talking about this sort of stuff. But
it's the teams we know stuff about, like we
yeah.
follow them.
But I think they've done absolutely amazingly this year, and I am sounding like a very proud Packers fan.
Yeah, but you are picking out examples in which we are, like, I think we said about this last week about what is making teams good, and that's something that people forget, is that you can buy all the superstars you want, so yeah, that's great, but if they get injured or if your team doesn't have depth, it's not important. Like, you can't rely on your starters being healthy to win games. Like,
last couple of years of the Mike McCarthy Packers era, we had an amazing squad. Aaron Rodgers just plays amazingly, and Mike McCarthy, who just doesn't have the best scheme.
Yeah.
And I like him as a head coach, and I think he's a good head coach, but you can see a similar pattern happening in Dallas.
Yeah.
As in, not focusing on the run game at all, not helping out Dak at all.
Yeah.
Not giving your guys the breaks they need.
Yeah.
Throwing the ball more than you should, meaning the defense will step up and look out for that more than the run.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's the scheme Mike McCarthy has, and it does work up to a point. We won a Super Bowl with it.
Yeah.
But I think, as a head coach, you need to tailor your scheme to the players you have. It's what Bill Belichick does.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what makes Bill Belichick pretty much the best coach in the NFL.
Yeah, no, I saw a really great interview. I think I've talked about this interview before with Nick Saban, who's head coach at Alabama.
Yeah.
And obviously we know how well Alabama have done as well.
Yeah.
And they were saying, or he was saying that. Nick Saban was saying that Bill Belichick taught him that as an American football coach, you don't force players into a scheme. You force scheme.
Yeah.
You change your scheme onto the players.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you can draft players who fit your scheme.
Yeah.
To reinforce that, but you're going to have to do some sort of audible, essentially. And change it.
Yeah, and I think, as far as I'm aware, Bill Belichick looks for players and drafts players with good skill sets or with good rather than necessarily that fit into a scheme. You think of Gronkowski, and how Bill Belichick used him. He was always being thrown to in the red zone because he's massive and he's a nightmare. He's not the quickest guy, but he's massive. You throw it his way.
Yeah.
He's going to physically dominate.
He will catch it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's been. It's interesting that Brady has potentially proven himself to be more, not necessarily more than a system quarterback, but knows how to play football. Whereas Gronkowski is really struggling.
What down is it?
Yeah. Yeah. Fair play.
Jamal Williams had poked a bit of fun at Brady this week when asked about what do you think about Rodgers versus Brady coming up this week, and he said, "My quarterback knows what fourth down is."
Oof, that's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I totally agree. But I think that is potentially one of the most important things in the draft is their mindset and skill set rather than how good they are,
or whether they fit into your scheme. Or something.
I mean, it's easier to coach things like catching and route running, stuff like that. For receivers, it's easier to coach. You can't coach speed.
No.
You can't coach elusiveness.
No. I've seen a Bill Belichick quote about that as well. Somewhere.
Like, those are the sorts of things that you get naturally, and it's very difficult for players to build up.
Yeah. I think as well, one thing that Bill Belichick potentially does the one area he potentially fails at, but doesn't necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily say fails. Is he's very much he's very methodical.
Yeah.
So you don't see a lot of emotion from a Patriots team.
You see anger from Bill Belichick not getting the calls he wants, but that's not always justified.
Yes, and I think that's really interesting because a lot of teams that have beaten the Patriots have beaten them because they want it more.
Yeah.
And it's funny that I know that Bill Belichick, from kind of what I've seen as well, he's not a statistics guy. He's very much a you win football by the players on the field and by playing well sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which I find really interesting because other teams beat the Patriots just because they want it more, because they bring that emotion, they bring that humanity to the game.
That's how the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Exactly. They fought and fought, and that whole underdog spirit they had through that entire playoff run. And I would say that's the Patriots' one downfall, and potentially Belichick's one downfall, is to remember that, as we said last week,
these players are human.
Yeah, not only these players are human, but no, actually, you've summed it up really well there. I was going to say kind of the human side of football, the emotion, the mentality, he needs to remember his players are human and use that humanity.
That is, I think, one of Matt LaFleur's greatest strengths as a coach. All you hear is about how amazing he is, or from Packers players, you hear he's amazing. He's such a leader. So many positive things coming out from the Packers camp about him and him as a person. And you've got to be able to motivate that team somehow in ways other than this is a football game. At some level, there has to be. We may be the worst team here, but we need to give 100% all the time. You can't go out there and not play well. Or and not put effort into it.
Good to. Well, my thing still says we've got 0 viewers, but clearly we don't.
Mine says 2.
I'll take 2. I'll take 2 any day.
Doesn't think Matt's watching.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, that's so weird, isn't it? I got sacked.
Which game are you in? You're in the week 11.
I have no idea. I'm just playing.
Is this the first game you've played?
No, this is the second one.
Did the week advance then?
I would hope so. Ooh. Yes, I did.
Okay. I'll play my game then.
Brilliant. Dear. I've got something else that I think you'll find interesting.
Go on.
I saw the current betting odds for which coach is going to be fired first.
Who
was top?
Gase.
No. I know, what? Like, it doesn't make sense. Who could it be if not Adam Gase?
Mike Zimmer.
No, interesting, no, not Mike Zimmer. Yeah, I love that, Matt, yeah. Oh, I just missed the extra point.
Ooh. I think. Oh, what's Giants head coach?
Oh, interesting. No.
Oh, is it going to be Doug Pederson?
No. Do you want me to say?
Yeah, go on.
Doug Marrone.
Oh.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Like.
Yeah. Jaguars head coach.
Yeah, like
For people who don't.
I see it, and yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's...
It's a difficult one because Doug Marrone has done a lot of good. Right, a lot of good. He's brought in a lot of good players, and he has won games with the Jaguars. But also, why has he not fired the defensive coordinator yet?
Yeah.
Like,
I understand that some level of accountability when you trade away so many stars and not have and not show anything for it.
I think
like you haven't got very many draft picks from it. Oh.
No, we have got loads of draft picks. We had two...
High value?
Yeah, well, okay, not for the stars, but... Well, actually, that's not necessarily true. We had 2 first-round picks this year, and we have 2 first-round picks next year.
Okay. But players you've traded away, Anakin Gokwe,
yeah. No,
Fournette...
I absolutely agree, but I don't think it's Doug Marrone's fault.
No. But at some level, you need to be accountable for losing that talent. And saying we're doing this for a reason, and then not having that being backed up by your results, essentially.
Yeah. I think it's so difficult because if you're going to fire him, you need to fire him sooner rather than later. Because he has been building and developing kind of really good young talent. I think of Josh Allen, kind of Minshew, and the new draft picks.
Yeah.
So if you're going to fire him, you need to fire him sooner rather than later, so that someone else can come in and go, okay, we're going to work.
And put their system into place.
Yeah. So I like Jay Gruden as an offensive coordinator. He's doing really well. I think
he's been doing good.
I think the problem at the moment is the Jaguars' O-line. Minshew is like the 5th most sacked QB, and also has the 5th most fumbles or something. So
I can check the sacks.
Actually, I think you sent it to me today, or I'll look it up.
I might have done.
Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. So Minshew has been sacked 16 times, tied 4th with Daniel Jones. He has lost 95 yards in sacks, which is 6th.
Is that through week 5?
Yeah. Okay. And has fumbled 3 times, which is joint 7th. But by joint 7th, yeah, they're kind of... There are people... Yeah. So, I genuinely think that I was pretty okay on the O-line. I thought the O-line actually were okay. But if you look at the running back, the wide receivers, and Minshew himself in the way he plays, we were discussing this week that if you look at statistically, Minshew is a top 10 QB through the number of touchdowns, completion percentage, and yards and these sorts of things. So, kind of, what is the problem with the Jaguars' offense that means it hasn't been able to compete with the best offenses? And I think we have to say there's only one position left in that respect. It's the offensive line.
I was telling you this the other day, wasn't I? Build at the line.
Yeah.
Build at the O-line and the D-line. Yeah. This is what I think the Jets should do this year.
Yeah.
In the draft, build at the O-line.
Yeah.
You have a solid O-line, solid D-line. You're going to do well.
Yeah.
You're going to protect your quarterback. You're going to have good run blocking. Yeah. Even if you don't necessarily have the best running back, you'll get the holes necessary for some yardage.
Yeah. If you'll
pressure the opponent quarterback, forcing them to make wayward throws more often.
Yeah.
You get some sacks, forcing loss of yardage.
Yeah, if you're building an NFL team, start with the offensive and defensive line, because they are the biggest difference makers in the game. Like you were saying, and this is one thing that bothers me when it comes to the draft. Everyone says, "Oh, the worst team who has the number 1 overall pick always needs to pick a quarterback that will help their team." It will help your team, but if you look at the Bengals aren't playing any better than they did last year. Yes,
they're playing a little bit better.
A little, yes, but that's
they're
the thing,
looking good,
bit.
but
yes,
they're
but
still
they're playing a
not...
little bit. I think that's the key word there. They're playing a little bit better because Joe Burrow is better than Andy Dalton, and and that's the thing is, yes, that's true, but that's why did you? Sorry, I'm trying to get my thing. Joe Burrow is better than Andy Dalton, so I completely understand why they draft him because you upgrade at the quarterback position, and that's fair. If that's what you want to do.
And when a quarterback has that sort of season in college and goes to and declares for the draft, if he's not the first overall pick, then you're kind of crazy.
Yeah, no.
Joe Burrow set tons of records at LSU in that last season.
I completely get that, but if I was a head coach and I had the first overall pick, then and I'm a team with Andy Dalton or something, I'm looking at my team and I'm going, quarterback is not my issue here. I clearly have more issues in this team than quarterback. And so, I just threw a pick six.
If you think...
And so, sorry.
Coming back to this line, there's a reason Packers haven't had a single turnover this year. Hasn't been... Why Rodgers' completion percentage is good. Why Aaron Jones is getting tons of yardage.
Yeah.
And every other running back for the Packers is getting lots of yardage. Yeah. It's because that O-line has only allowed 2 sacks.
Yeah.
That's an absolutely solid O-line. They've had some injuries, but they've maintained a good O-line.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That is... It's always a difference. And that's what I would say if I was... And this is my answer whenever kind of people were saying that Trevor Lawrence is going to the Jaguars. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is a big enough upgrade over Minshew to be worth picking him, to be honest. Trevor Lawrence is great, but Minshew has proven this season that he's really good. And so if I've got the first overall pick, I know that there are tons of teams who are looking for a better quarterback who have got a decent O-line already.
Yeah.
And so I'm going, okay, which team is willing to give me multiple first rounders or a first and a couple of seconds or something?
Trade down,
To trade down.
Pick up an O-lineman.
Pick up an O-lineman. Because I get a decent first round pick O-lineman, plus more picks to pick on to be able to fill other holes and improve my depth.
Yeah.
And
the reason you do that badly to pick something other than O-lineman is if you're picking a D-lineman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or if you're not trading down anyways, you're picking up a D-lineman.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, it's just it's an attitude that I don't quite understand, and I feel it slightly with the Jets. The Jets clearly are the worst team at the moment, and looking like they will get that first overall pick. But that's the thing is, if I'm the Jets, Sam Darnold is a good QB. He is a good QB. If they pick Trevor Lawrence, I will understand because that saves them having to give Sam Darnold a massive contract. Actually, I think they already have.
They did. I think he's free agent in 2023. I think.
Okay. Well, that's the thing.
We spoke about it.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, if I'm the Jets, I've already given Sam Darnold money. And I don't want to draft Trevor Lawrence and then have Sam Darnold as my backup. Sam Darnold's a fine enough QB. I trade that pick down because there will be a team out there like the Saints, the Bucks, trying to think of other teams. The Vikings maybe in the need
Patriots potentially.
Patriots, there are tons of other teams with older quarterbacks, with struggling quarterbacks. I'm thinking of Washington. Tons of other teams that will happily take Trevor Lawrence, and to them, Trevor Lawrence is they need to upgrade the quarterback position. They're happy to pick, like the Saints, maybe thinking, okay, we'll get a QB later in the first round, like Trey Lance, let's say, or
Trey Lance looks good. He would be a good fit for the Saints.
Yeah, something like that. So if you give them the opportunity to take the best quarterback in the draft, they're going to go, wow, we'll take this. Yes, you probably don't want to give them Trevor Lawrence, but because it's a need, because it's one of their needs, they are probably willing to give you so much for that pick.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
I read. Oh, I can't remember what the trade was. I remember
like you either trade Sam Darnold for multiple first-round picks, or a first and some other picks.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
and then pick Trevor Lawrence and an O-lineman later.
I guess that's the thing as well that I don't understand. I don't understand why teams do this. Like you say, you either pick Trevor Lawrence with a #1 pick, and then you have to try and get rid of Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And
I think you get rid of Sam Darnold first, and then first overall you pick Trevor Lawrence. If you want to do that approach, if you really want Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
But I don't think you do that.
No, but you would get more picks or more value for the first overall pick than you would for Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And I think
it's sad, but yeah.
But in terms of it is sad. In terms of
I rate Sam Darnold.
Yeah, me too. In terms of what's the word I'm looking for? In terms of overall value, you are going to get more by playing Darnold and trading away the first than you are trading Darnold and saving the first.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're trading down in the first round, you're going to get at least a third round pick out of it as well.
Yeah.
If you're trading down from the first overall pick, you might get a second and a first.
Yeah.
Or a first, a second, and something else, or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Who are you thinking of, Matt? Sorry, you said who will they actually play? Are you thinking Trevor Lawrence or Sam Darnold?
We'll wait on that one.
Yeah, we'll wait on that one. Because that is another good question if he's talking about Trevor Lawrence.
I'm currently dominating the Giants.
I managed to get a punt to the 1. Come on, get the safety.
Nice.
Yes, safety. Yes. I love it.
I'm currently 17-0 up in the second quarter. Man, all Madden cheese isn't happening.
Yeah.
It's actually a nice game.
Again, I like. Fairs, man.
Yeah,
Fairs.
Giants are trash. That's why I'm winning so much.
Giants are another really good example of exactly what we're talking about. Daniel Jones has proven he can play quarterback.
The problem I have with Daniel Jones is he's consistently turning the ball over.
Yes,
and he hasn't shown any improvement from that this year.
Yeah, but let me put this to you. I'll get round to my full point. Not only have you got Daniel Jones, a quarterback who's proven he can play quarterback, you've got a generational running back in Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
A fantastic running back. And so,
O-line.
What is your problem? Like, what your the problem must be O-line. And I think that's the thing, is that Saquon's injuries and lack of production at the start of this year, and potentially the reason for Daniel Jones' turnovers, is probably that kind of how porous that O-line is.
Yeah. I mean, they have one good piece, Will Hernandez.
Is he actually playing well?
I don't know if he's playing well, but he used to be good.
Okay. I know that they had Zeitler for a bit.
Yes.
I don't know if he's still playing well.
But still, two.
And they had
two O-linemen's not enough.
No, they signed was it? Who was it? There is this kind of consistently bad O-lineman who keeps going round to different teams.
Nate Solder.
Was it Nate Solder?
I'm pretty sure they signed him. He was from the Patriots.
Yeah, no, it's not Nate Solder. It's what's his name? That's going to really bother me now. No, it's disappeared. Let me look it up.
I can't remember the Giants O-line, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to have to look it up.
It's just not a good O-line.
It's not, no.
But it's not helped by Daniel Jones turning the ball over.
No.
I think Sam Darnold's better than Daniel Jones, by far.
Yeah.
But Daniel Jones has shown he can throw the football with precision, and he can be a good QB.
Yeah.
But he hasn't shown any upgrades in turnovers.
Yeah.
And I think that's...
I think they cut him.
Oh.
Because they don't have Nate Solder and they don't have the guy I think I was talking about.
Okay.
I think. At least I can't.
Good.
They've got Andrew Thomas. I think he was
he's a rookie, yeah.
Yeah.
He was arguably the 4th best tackler in the draft.
Yeah.
Picked as the first tackle.
I know. Yeah, again, that was a massive mistake. Like.
Yeah, I mean, who was it? Mekhi Becton was amazing. Jedrick Wills, Tristan Wirth.
And they've all played really well.
Yeah, I mean, Mekhi Becton, when he's healthy, he's been injured this season. He's been injured. But he has played, and he's played decently. Or rather, he's shown he can be a franchise tackle.
Was it Nate Solder? I'm trying to remember. This is annoying.
I mean, he used to be at the Patriots, so I don't know.
He was good at the Patriots. I'm trying to. Who was it?
He was pretty good at the Patriots.
No, that's going to annoy me. I think it was Nate. It was probably Nate Solder.
I think he's bounced around a fair bit. Not that I can remember, to be honest.
Who was the bad
guard?
Bad guard.
Oh, that is some PI.
Yeah.
That is annoying. They just intercepted it after basically blocking my guy. And I can't challenge it.
That's a move.
That is some massive pass interference.
No, I've lost it. That's going to annoy me.
I should tell you what, can I replay it and send it to you? Yeah.
I see. That's the thing, is I thought Nate Solder was one of the good ones because like Matt said, he was at the Patriots and I thought he was quite good there, but
yeah. Let's focus on the ball. Come on.
Yeah, I can't remember. That's going to annoy me.
Yeah.
Oh well. Who was it? That's going to really, really bother me. No, it's gone. Anyway.
I'm trying to send this to you.
Oh. Interception.
Tell me this isn't PI. What I'm sending to you.
Okay. I can't. Well, I can't see it.
Yeah. No, I haven't sent it yet.
Okay. Oh! Go, Kyle! Go!
But that yeah. Okay, I've just sent it to you. But that is.
Oh, is this going to be a
terrible PR?
Oh, it's holding. That's why. Oh, I stopped because I thought he would run past me or dive, but he didn't. So that was a bit. But he didn't, and that was a bit of an oof.
Oh dear.
The play still worked again. It's all good.
Nice.
I should have juked him. Why didn't I juke him? That was so silly. Like.
Why didn't you juke him?
I don't know. I did a back juke and it didn't work. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, was it in a game we played recently? Was I did a back juke, or was it you who did a back juke?
I can't remember.
One of us did a back juke and he just took like 10 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Actually back juke.
Yeah. Oh, that was so funny. They
it
just
was a tight end, I think.
So
but it was
funny.
so bad. Oh dear. But yeah, that is
back jukes only work when you've got someone who can actually move quickly and you say when it's 1v1.
Oh, come on.
Oh. Yes.
But yeah, build the line.
Build the line, that's what we're saying. Yeah. And it's quite funny because teams have struggled to do it just forever. That they're just
there's not enough O-lineman talent.
Yeah, exactly. But to be fair, there were like there are kind of more O-line positions than kind of any other position.
Yes, but you can pick up O-linemen and switch them across.
Yeah, yeah. It's nonsensical to me, and I think it comes from a GM attitude.
Must make the big signings.
Yeah. Oh, I should have listened to what Matt said. I ran it and fumbled it.
Ouch. I'm getting some cheese. I'm getting some Madden cheese.
Not Green Bay Packer cheese.
No, I'm still 3 points up. But it's getting there. I can feel it starting to happen. I'm going to have one. I'm going to have a fumble recovery when I'm on the 1 yard line, and they're going to return it for a 100-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
I can just tell it. I can just
feel that happening already. And it makes me mad.
Also, yeah, it does. This is why we don't play Madden.
Well, I'm hoping
why
I'm
hoping
if I can get this streaming stuff. Yeah, it's true. Running never works well in this game. That's why I'm hoping that this streaming stuff works, because I'm going to try and play old Maddens on an Xbox 360.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really fun to watch.
I have dropped it off with parents.
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, there was some definite PI in that interception as well.
Have you got a power cable and everything?
I did, yes, I sent the power cable. I'm not sure what power cable the Xbox I've ordered is going to require, but
I know, Matt.
I sent you the power cable.
Oh, cheers. And you're ordering another
one? Yes, when I see what power cable my Xbox needs.
Cool. I'm just going to check that one works before I pay you.
I have made it work.
No, I'm sure you have.
But I'm not sure about the discs. So
that's right.
It is worth a try.
Yes. And yes, Matt, I can't believe that was a wide open interception and he dropped it. Like, it was awful.
Whereas with mine, it's a wide open reception and it gets intercepted because of PI. It's annoying.
Pick up the ball! Pick up the ball!
Madden cheese is real.
Yeah, I almost got cheesed out of that. That was too close. That was awful. Oh dear. Gosh.
I'm just gonna run it for a little bit because PI on every pass.
Face mask. I will take that.
To be honest, I might increase the slider for defensive PI.
Okay.
Because you see the amount of that in the league there at the moment, and how we don't get any calls for it in here. I might try and make it as realistic as I can.
Fair enough. Fair play. We try.
Yeah. Oh dear. I wouldn't fault Nathan for playing as the Jags. It's doing a rebuild, so
it's taking so long.
It's taking a while, but it's still a rebuild. So it'll be better than it was last year in the game. Mine certainly is, anyways.
Mine could be better. Oh, not quite. Okay, come on, first and goal, let's get in there. Rebuilding the Jags is like trying to fix America, that's fantastic. Yeah, it feels
I think the
like
Jets would be more difficult.
It feels like
rebuild
that.
the Jets.
Oh, you should. And trying to get the Vikings a Super Bowl win. Like, there are so many things we should try, like, I genuinely,
yeah.
I feel all of that.
Yeah, this year is not the Vikings yet. a mix of injuries and an absolute trash secondary.
Yeah, they've had a lot of holes.
I feel like that's a little harsh, but it's a young secondary and they haven't learned how to play the NFL yet.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like Mike Zimmer said, he's got a lot of defensive holes, like a lot of defensive starters that they needed to fill the holes on.
I'm kind of surprised that a Mike Zimmer defense isn't playing very well.
It is a surprise, isn't it? And I think it's potentially more of a team building thing than a scheming thing, I would say.
Yes, it is. Mike Zimmer's schemes tend to be pretty good. I do think it's on the players themselves rather than the scheme. Sorry, I'm getting a sore throat from talking. Because it's a young secondary, which means they're not really very tested. I would admit that Aaron Rodgers does have his flaws. One of the things, especially, is he's not trash. No, but especially in the last 2 seasons, haven't seen it as much this season. Aaron Rodgers holding onto the ball, waiting for a teammate to get open, and then just throwing it away or taking a sack. The last couple of seasons, especially last couple of seasons of Mike McCarthy, Packers, was that, and that didn't help. I think was a big contributor to why we didn't do so well, was that Aaron Rodgers just holding onto the ball because he didn't have any skill positions around him who could catch. When you double team Devontae Adams, so yeah. You should see Aaron Rodgers always looks grumpy. You should see he's every Tuesday he streams, or he's on the Pat McAfee show stream, and he just has fun. And it's really interesting to watch. And he always looks like he's having a good time. He is a bit of a lad, to be honest.
He is a bit, isn't he?
It's so funny. But yeah, no, they're well worth watching, actually.
Yeah. Upgrading this team is taking forever. Like,
I still need to scout players and...
I did win a game, though.
Hey, nice. Which one's this? Number 2 on the season, or
3 actually?
Oh, that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Taurus just remind me that Aaron Rodgers' girlfriend is a NASCAR racer.
I'm not sure if they're still going out.
Oh, tragic.
I know. I think it's been like 6 months.
Oof.
Since I've seen them together anyway, so they may still be, but...
Yeah.
Definitely haven't seen any pictures of them.
That's a bit of an oof.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, seeing as we've hit the 1 hour mark, and there aren't many people here, thank you for everyone who has been here watching and commenting. We appreciate all the support we get.
Yeah.
It's just, we love doing this, and we'd love to keep
We do. It is really good fun.
And yeah, hopefully this streaming equipment will work next time.
Yeah. we'll have to try it out.
But yeah, bye for now. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, VSH. I know who you are, but cheers, Matt. No, it means a lot. But we'll see. Yeah. See you all again Tuesday.